Milei's political party has been beset by a wave of disagreement, resignation and scandal. While the president's personal popularity remains high, are the cracks beginning to show within his government? And how will this affect his ability to pass legislation? This week, an ongoing scandal has come to a head with the resignation of Lourdes Arrieta from the ruling party La Libertad Avanca. Arrieta claims that she was tricked into participating in a controversial visit by deputies from the group to Ezeiza prison to meet those incarcerated there for crimes against humanity and genocide. News of the visit hit the headlines last week. The prisoners are among those who were put on trial and convicted during the Kirchner government for their activities during the 1976 to 1983 military dictatorship. Some are in prison for ordering or actually participating in torture and murder. It's well known that some members of La Libertad Avanca party are sympathetic towards these prisoners, believing that their convictions were politically motivated or the punishments too harsh. Arrieta has published screenshots of a WhatsApp group describing the planning that went into the visit, and also images of secret draft bills to be sent before Congress, which discuss reducing the sentences or overturning convictions for some of these prisoners. Arrieta said that this went against the ideals of liberty which La Libertad Avanca is supposed to support, and that forces inside the party were working behind President Milei's back to manipulate the law. At no point did she suggest that the president has anything to do with any of this. There's been no comment from Milei's office on the whole affair. Whilst Milei has made some comments in past speeches about issues concerning events during the 1976 to 1983 military government, raking over the past doesn't seem particularly high on his own agenda. The president appears to be more interested in looking towards Argentina's economic future. However, these issues are very important to some of his party, particularly the vice president, so Milei seems to be kind of going along with things for the sake of party unity. Having quit the party, Lourdes Arrieta has now formed her own political group called the Forces of Heaven, which consists of just herself, but she says she will continue to vote with the government. This now reduces the number of La Libertad Avanca deputies to just 37 in the 257-seat Congress. On Tuesday, Vice President Victoria Villarruel restated her intention to open investigations into terrorist crimes committed by left-wing insurgents opposed to the 1976 to 1983 military dictatorship. Villarruel, who comes from a military family, backs the so-called two demons theory, which seeks to justify the state repression and violence of that period as necessary to combat leftist guerrilla groups who were seeking to take over the country. These various left-wing groups are usually referred to collectively as Montoneros, the name of the largest and most significant of a number of such organizations. Despite it being common knowledge that the Montoneros carried out bombings, murders and kidnappings during the so-called Dirty War, none have ever been prosecuted and most crimes remain uninvestigated. It's said that this is due to many members of the left-wing Kirchnerist governments being ex-Montoneros themselves. There's even been suggestions that former President Cristina Kirchner may have been a member of one of these groups. Vice President Villarruel has on many occasions publicly disputed the generally accepted figure of victims of state terrorism of 30,000, saying that it's been hugely exaggerated for political ends and is probably closer to 7,000. While Villarruel wasn't part of the group of deputies who recently visited the prisoners in Ezeiza, she is known to have had contact and discussions in the past with convicted members of the former military government, and her father and uncle were both members of the military during that time. The Vice President has stated that Argentina can only know true justice when all the Montoneros have been tried and jailed. And at a recent memorial service, she spoke about victims of terrorism without mentioning the 30,000 desaparecidos. Righting perceived historic wrongs seems to be what drives Victoria Villarruel, but this doesn't feature quite so high on President Milei's agenda. A briefing from his office said that remarks made by the Vice President were on her own initiative. Added to this, there was another recent disagreement about pay rises for deputies, senators and Congress workers. Much to Milei's fury, Villarruel helped to push through this latest pay award, the third since the start of the year. Milei called it a betrayal of the people. There would seem to be a growing rift between the VP and the president, and Villarruel has been notably absent at a number of official events recently where she would have been expected to accompany the president. In Corrientes province, police have arrested a man accused of possessing and distributing what are euphemistically termed inappropriate images of children. The man, Germán Kizka, is a libertarian lawmaker from Misiones province. He belongs to a political party called Activar, which is part of Milei's ruling coalition, La Libertad Avanca. Kizka has been on the run for a week with a price on his head and pursued by both Argentine authorities and Interpol. Rumours were that the man had escaped across the border to Paraguay or Brazil, but he was found hiding in a cabin in a small town in Corrientes province after a tip-off from a neighbour. His brother, Sebastián, is also wanted by the police and is still on the run. The two men have been on the police radar for some time as part of a larger transnational operation against child trafficking, spearheaded by a couple of NGOs. Security Minister Patricia Bullrich said on Twitter that these mental deviants would feel the full force of the law. While the personal criminal actions of Germán Kizka obviously have no connection to his political career, having such a scandal within a political party so closely affiliated with the government doesn't look good, and it gives the opposition another stick to beat the government with. Thanks for watching. I hope you found the video interesting. If you did, please give it a like. And if you want to see more content like this, there's a couple of videos on the screen now. If you're not already subscribed, you might want to do that too. If you want to support the channel, you can buy me a coffee in the link below. And until next time, que tengas un buen día.